Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Daily Compliance News for October 16, 2024, the Gone in 60 Seconds edition. And we begin with that story, which actually it took a little bit longer than 60 seconds, but as the Globe and Mail reported, last Thursday it took the Department of Justice 40 minutes to demolish Canada's reputation as a global leader in bank supervision and clean banks. The DOJ's case against Toronto Dominion, or TD Bank, and the bank's admission of guilt demonstrate how Canada's finance department and 2 of the bank supervisory agencies it oversees have, for much of the past decade, had their head buried in the sand. So, TD Bank, $3 billion, a systemic and global money laundering campaign right under the nose of Canadian regulators. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Dave Michaels reports that Grewal, former director of the Enforcement Division of the Securities and Exchange Commission, has returned to Wall Street. He has stepped down from the SEC to join the law firm of Milbank Rose, a law firm whose clients number many of the blue chip firms regulated by the SEC. He plans to handle civil and criminal matters, but of course he faces a 1-year ban on direct dealing with the SEC. Next up, which is the most corrupt European country? Well, according to EuroNews, the results vary depending on the metric being used and whether you're looking at the EU or Europe as a whole. Of course, Hungary is typically viewed as the most corrupt country in the EU, but other metrics say that other countries might be in line for the title. Transparency International puts Hungary at the bottom as well. And our final story comes to us from Matt Levine. Yes, Matt Levine from Bloomberg. And he looked at the TD Bank enforcement action and said it really wasn't the money laundering, it was the ignoring red flags and having a budgetary process that made it almost impossible to do the regulators' mandatory required AML screening, or indeed, as he said, that it was convenient for criminals. So, Matt Levine has spoken. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.